Hey guys, it's me, Rae, with Random Thoughts with Rae. And as not always, but now always, my amazing co-host, AJ.
I
Whenever he
am here.
There you are. Bum bum bum.
That's a grand intro. That was the kind of intro I was hoping for.
Right? Just do little jazz hands.
How are you?
I'm tired. My son's actually in school now, so I'm waking up at 5 to have my coffee and no kid bugging me. So it's like now I'm automatically waking up at 5 in the morning.
Story of my
So
life.
yeah, what about you?
Doing good.
What
I've
time
been
do you wake up?
4.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I don't miss those days.
Yeah. No, I love
Hey,
it.
look at my new shirt. Can you read it?
You're drinking. So, yes.
Day
Yes. That's
drinking
so true.
because 2020 sucks. I wish it said balls, like sucks
Sucks
balls.
balls.
I
Yes.
love it.
Just
But
funny.
did you vote?
I voted a long time ago. I didn't get any kind of sticker though.
I did.
I wish I got a sticker. I voted by mail.
Well, there's obviously no excuse for people not to vote. Sadly, my grandfather had passed away in the middle of the night. So it was actually like 2 in the morning on Wednesday, but I still voted because
Geez.
I knew he would want that.
Yeah.
He was the person that I would go to and be like, hey, Papa, what does this mean? What is this? And so he would always explain it to me. And he was my papa, and I loved him. And so I knew that. So this is the first year that I have not been able to ask him. So I had to ask my grandma, and there's something she's like, I don't know, your grandfather would have been able to tell us more. And we were on the same political views, and it's
I'm
probably
sorry.
because he
Yeah. I'm sorry for his passing. Yeah. But honoring his memory by really cool.
right. And I even said no one has an excuse not to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Not unfortunately, I was there with him the night before. I was the last one in the family to be with him. And I stayed for like 3 hours, and I saw his health decline in those 3 hours. And soon after I left was when he passed. And I'm grateful that I got to be there, and the following Saturday we did a celebration of life. So we're really excited about, he needed to pass because it was just better for him. And when people are like, I'm sorry for your past, I said, no, please don't be sorry. This is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So enough of the sad talk. So I was going to ask you something. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Ooh, do you have plans for Thanksgiving? Just
No,
immediate family?
really don't. I was talking to Victoria about this. I was like, what usually kept Thanksgiving on Thursday, Thanksgiving is work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like regular schedule. But now that all of our schedules have basically been flattened, we could do
Yeah.
things any day. We could do a
Yeah.
Thanksgiving on a Monday, and it still doesn't feel like whatever.
Yeah.
Black Friday is always going to be a Black Friday. Cyber Monday is
They
always
had,
going to be Cyber Monday. So
do you realize they had Black Friday on Thursday at the mall?
no way.
Yeah.
That's what I mean is that shopping it's whenever schedules
Everywhere.
now just changed.
Yes. Yes. And
Shopping.
see, being in retail, I never really got to do the Black Friday. I had to work it. And then when I wasn't doing retail, I was like, I can't afford to do Black Friday.
And all the workers, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the workers, they pocket a lot of the good deals that go real quick, right? Like I'm assuming because like certain stores will only have a certain selection, a stock of these really good deals, and the workers probably already beforehand put it away so that they can buy it, right?
When I was in the shoe business, we really didn't have anything special. But I remember one year I wanted a KitchenAid. Remember those KitchenAid big mixers?
Hell yeah, those things are always expensive and never on sale.
Oh, back in 2007, maybe 2006, I hosted my first Thanksgiving with my ex and my daughter's dad's side of the family. And their best friend worked at Macy's, so they called her up. Hey, can you put one of these KitchenAids aside? And I want to say I spent like $100 on it.
Shut
and I'm
up.
so excited.
It's $400 and they never drop. Yeah.
Now I will say my KitchenAid isn't the one that like lifts up; it stays down. But I don't care.
Yeah,
I still have it. Sucker's still going strong.
Yeah.
I want a Vitamix though.
Oh man, I'll never use it. I wanted one.
I would use it all the time. I used to have one, and oh my God, I loved it. But yeah. Oh, I have a Friendsgiving this Saturday. It's my second annual Friendsgiving. I don't know if you listened to the podcast of my Friendsgiving last year.
I think I like that. I think that's the one where somebody peed themselves, didn't they?
Yes, Bree, my neighbor, who unfortunately I'm no longer friends with.
Oh no.
Yes, well, she got a little crazy and she started telling people things about me that wasn't true, and then she would tell her other friend. You know, she was talking shit on everyone, and we none of us liked each other, and then we realized it's not us, it's her.
Oh,
and everything she said was a lie because she didn't want us to be friends because she wanted to be the center.
Yeah.
Last year she got a little upset because she realized people were like, hey, she's cool, and like we're all cool. And so we're no longer friends, but all of us, like her 4 of us that she's no longer friends with, we're all friends, and they're all invited to my Friendsgiving. We're and Bree lived literally right. Open up my front door, her front door is there. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that happens.
Yes. But other than that, it's my grandpa that passed away. His birthday is on the 22nd. So it's like, it's going to be kind of, and then our first holidays without him. And it was always Thanksgiving was always big. Christmas Eve was our family thing, and that was always big. And we just loved it. It was just, that's our family time.
So you're down with, it sounds like, having the get-togethers with COVID going on and everything. It's not so much of a.
If they let me shop at Walmart and they let me shop at the mall, which literally Fashion Fair Mall, there was no parking, AJ, whatsoever. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I jokingly told all my friends, okay, guys, I'm doing temperature checks. You have to fill out a COVID waiver, and you have to wear a mask. And one of my friends is like, you could take my temperature in the butt. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, no, Melissa, I'll pass on that one. But it's just funny because, and I was just joking, because, when I'm out and about, I receive people and I wear a mask and stuff like that. But I know you're a germaphobe, but my whole thing is it's never going to go away. And they think that this is going to go away, and it's really not. And now they're talking about shutting the country down once Biden becomes president, if he becomes president, because they're still counting votes. I don't want to talk about my political views, but Biden doesn't scare me, but Harris does. That woman. Okay, really? That's all I got to say.
She's in California.
Yeah, but she fucked California over. She was having people who got caught with small amount of weeds doing like 10, 15 years. And
all of the politicians have some sort of, I bet they lean one way or another. It depends on who's putting the money in their pocket. It's crazy.
Yes. And I honestly will say, I don't think any of our votes count. I feel like there's a higher power that plays puppet with all these politicians, right, and they know who they want and they don't want.
Called the Electoral College.
Yeah. And real quick before we get off the politics stuff, CNN is more Democratic views and Fox is more Republican. But I've been watching some CNN clips where they have turned on Biden and they have turned on Nancy Pelosi. And I'm just like, what? You guys are like so liberal, Democratic, and and the CNN guy's like talking to one of Biden's ladies in his campaign saying, this is unconstitutional. This is unconstitutional. And I'm like,
oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, I was like, I never expected CNN to say anything like that. But
it's going to get good.
Anyway, I had posted a while ago about saying I wanted to do an age gap, podcast, because as we know that, I do have an age difference with me and my boyfriend, and one person reached out to me and I reached back out to her and I never heard. And then I had someone else reach back out to me and I reached back out to her. So we're setting this all up. And it's funny because, you know, I follow the hashtags of age gap relationship, age gap love, and stuff like that. And when she reached out to me, I was like, oh my God, I've seen them in these pictures and in these hashtags.
Oh,
I'm like,
cool.
ooh, cool. And so I was super excited. Somebody else that I follow that I would absolutely love to meet is Mindy and Larry. They have YouTube channels, they have Instagram and all that stuff. And they're so awesome. I've actually talked to her a few times, like on those, when she did a story on Instagram, and I'd click on it and I would comment and she'd comment back, which I'm like, that's awesome. So I guess I need to be like, yo, I need you guys on the show. Mm-hmm. But this other couple that we're going to, I just dropped my water.
Oh.
Hopefully I don't get thirsty. You see me, I'm just going to grab it real quick. All right. You know, this other couple has a 29-year age gap, and I will have them talk about their age difference more. But, you know, in society, we get judged for having an age gap.
Of course. Because
it's if you're a female that's older than the male, oh, you're a cougar. You're right. A cougar.
Yeah.
You know, and,
right.
and it seems to be more acceptable. I mean, people still talk, but when the man is older, it's then automatically, oh, why is she with him?
Sugar dad.
Is it about the money?
Right.
Why would they be attracted to somebody like that? And, you know, and so on. And, you know, I look at a 10-year age gap, 11, 12-year age gap as not that big of a deal. My grandparents, you know, are 11, 12 years. My uncle and aunt are 11 years. My daughter's dad and me were 11 years and some months. But when does it become an actual age gap? Is it 10 years, 15 years, 18 years?
Yeah.
I don't see it that big of a 15 years, but
it becomes the age of your children.
Yes.
When it's like, oh, hey, wait a second, you're older than my oldest child.
Yeah, you know, and with me, my boyfriend's daughter is 2 years younger than me, maybe 3, but it's 2. Me and her get along. We get along great. She's like, I was so nervous to meet you. I really haven't had a great relationship with my dad because of his ex-wife and all this other stuff. She goes, but I love you.
His last girlfriend was only 18. You're so much older
than the last one. His ex-wife twice, and I'm like, why on earth would you do that if you divorced the first time? You know, but she's like, I have a relationship with my dad now because of you, and I'm like, oh my God, great, you know, and me and her get along. We text, you know, and it's, or we see each other, and we're supposed to go get petties together, but I don't see a problem when it's 15 years. But you know, when you hit that 20-year mark, it's one of those things where it's like, wow. So if I'm 20 and I'm with someone 20 years older, that's 40, obviously. Is that okay? Or is that a wow?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's more of a wow, because when society, and I'm not going to say for, you know, this is how it goes. Society will look at that, oh, that person's young. Why on earth are they with someone 40 years old? Because this person isn't going to want kids. And what if the 20-year-old doesn't want kids, but they can change their mind and they're still learning and developing and growing? Everybody sees things differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is it more susceptible, or is it more okay when you're 30 and the person's 50? You know, and so that's where it's like, at that point, you're like, okay, they're a little bit older. You know, oh, this person's 35 and then 55. You know what I mean? I'm just showing the different time, you know, the different age-wise.
Everybody does it differently. And what is it like to be seen differently? You know, what is it like to be treated differently when you're in a relationship with somebody and you are happy with this other person, but at the same time you have all of these heavy stares on you? Mm-hmm. That's gotta be rough.
And I have talked about on the show about how people would look at us and I didn't want people to automatically assume I'm with my boyfriend for money. And that was one thing that I was really worried, really, really worried about, because it's not a, it's just really not. And I love my boyfriend. I liked him for a while. I'd even dropped hints that I was like, oh, you went to the coast. You should have invited me. I would have gone, but we had created a bond because we had friends that connected us. And, we started talking through Facebook Messenger. And because of that, that was a whole another thing. I got to know him on a different level than a physical or a sexual level. And at one point I remember telling him, even though we haven't met, I feel like you're my best friend because I've really opened up to you and talked to you, or he would talk to me. And then I realized I started to like him. But then the age thing, it wasn't that it was a problem for me, but it was one of those things where I just didn't want people to look at me and assume. And when we started dating, I was very quiet and hush hush about it. And then from there, I ended up talking with my mom, and then I ended up saying something to my sister, and I was really scared what my sister was going to think. And when I'm talking to my mom and sister, we were at Red Robin's, and my sister was very like, Jessica, as long as you're happy, I've seen some of the dumbasses you've dated. She goes, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. And at that point, it was like, okay, I felt just like I had people very supportive towards me. But like I'd mentioned before, we had walked into a Chinese restaurant and there was these two older couples, and the ladies were so rude when they had turned around and stared at us. We weren't holding hands. We weren't
making out.
What was that?
Making out over the kitchen table, over the table.
Yeah. We were just picking up our food to go.
Yeah.
And so when they were looking, I put my hand up under his shirt. I'm rubbing him like, if you want to look, then look. Then look. And that was the first time that I've ever had somebody blatantly look. My boyfriend had got what?
How old were they?
Oh, they were older. They're probably like late 60s.
Yeah.
I'm really
See, I'm interested in hearing like from would you say a majority of people judging you or looking at you as like those people, are they old or are they from the younger generation? Because I feel like the younger generation would be more open to that. It's the older generation.
Exactly.
But that's me being judgmental. So I'm curious if the 29-year relationship, if they tend to see a similarity in that. Older
and plus,
younger.
We're in the U.S. and they're in London, England.
Nice.
They're across the. So then it makes it. How's the comparison between another country and our country? And you're right. I will have some older people looking than the younger generation that we're in, but I don't see that. I don't see those type of things because it doesn't bother me. I'm not worried what people think. And honestly, like, I feel like we've been together forever, and we've only gotten into one major fight in the 9.5 months that we've been to actually in a relationship. And yes, we are still considered new, but if this motherfucker tries leaving me, we're gonna have issues. I've told him that before. I'm like, dude, I love you. Like, don't leave me. and we all know, like, my past.
I'm gonna hide your charger to your little scooter. I'm gonna hide the charger to your little.
Hey, I want one of those. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, I do too. Hell yeah.
And I don't notice things anymore. I just don't. And honestly, I don't know. People look at us, and I hold his hand, and we'll kiss or whatever. And to me, it's just a normal life. This is a normal life, and I'm happy. Even he has had someone message him, and I don't know if he's ever had anyone else say anything, but I just know for a fact that one person had sent him a message, and it was a very not nice message, and I'm just like, that's rude. She was jealous, if I remember right. I don't know if they used to date or whatever, but she had made a comment like, that's just disgusting. It's like you're fucking your daughter. Wow. And he's just like,
no,
what?
Related?
What was that?
I said, no, we're not related.
We're not related.
Different. That's no.
From from what I know, that was the only thing. I mean, some other stuff might have come up, but that was the only thing. So,
Yeah.
we have had those roads. One thing that me and him have had, that we don't really like to bring up the whole age gap or talk about it. He's a very private person, which is why he hasn't been on the show, and he listens. Love you, baby. He listens. And one thing, like I said, we've talked about that. We're not going to bring up or have the conversation about the age difference, because for us, we love each other and we want to be with each other, and who cares what people think, and that's something that, I appreciate. But my main question is, when is it okay in society to have that age gap? Do people judge you when you're 18, 19, in your 20s, in your 30s, and it's like, when is it okay? Or is it not ever okay? I mean, it is okay, but some people are going to think that.
Of course.
So our guest today, they're in a 29-year age gap, and she has written a book about what they went through. And as I was reading some of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that. And her book is called Everlong. And then I'll have her, we'll ask them some questions. Oh, I can't speak right now. But I just want to read a little intro of their book, and then we'll invite them on. So
Cool.
the book is called Everlong. Oh, wait, before I start, AJ, did you have any questions for me?
Oh, I've got fun. We are getting good. Go for it.
Woohoo! Okay. So the book is called Everlong, and this is the beginning paragraph. Sorry, I did not memorize it. I have my cheat sheet. So this is, like I said, Laura Marie had wrote this. She goes, as soon as Laura Marie heard David's voice, he seduced her. After a simple Facebook friend request, which I relate because that was kind of like me and my boyfriend, with Laura Marie's thought was just a fantasy, was soon to become a reality. She wasn't expecting to fall in love or for him to want her in the way she wanted him. A little crush, all brought on by a vinyl single, had blossomed into so much more. There was just one thing, ... A 29-year age gap separated the pair. And I will say this, when I first read this, and I'm all, he seduced her. I was like, oh, and I'm like, my friend's my nail lady, so I'm reading it to her because that's when I had a chance to read it. And even she's like, whoa. And then another spot that really got me was she wasn't expecting to fall in love or for him to want her in the way she wanted him. So when I read that, I'm thinking, okay, she wasn't expecting her to fall in love, but boy, she sure did want him. And when I'm reading that, I'm like, ooh, did she just want him for a sexual thing because she wasn't expecting to fall in love? Or was she hoping deep down inside?
It was over a final single. It was over a song. I want to see, music brings people together. That's why I'm in radio, because that connection. What was the single, and what type of music brought them together?
Yes. So we have a lot of questions for Laura Marie and David. So we are now going to have them on. Just waiting for them to pop on.
Oh, exciting.
I know. So without further ado, Laura Marie and David.
Yeah.
You have to turn your camera on, though.
From the UK.
Woo!
We're here. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. You're cute as a button.
Yeah, I've got so many questions.
Hiya.
So
Who's as cute as a button? Me or my baby? Obviously me, innit?
It's nice to hear you talking.
Both of us.
Hello from the UK. Hello Rae. Hello AJ.
Hello.
Thanks for having us on.
Oh, thank you guys for reaching out. Like I had said, when I started getting into this age difference, I started looking at the hashtags of age gap relationships, and I always saw you guys on there. So, Laura Marie, when you had reached out, I was like, oh, I've been watching them. I Instagram stalked them.
Oh, bless you so much.
Liked every picture. Yeah.
So sweet. Oh, bless you.
So, your book called Everlong, can you explain why you guys picked that for your book?
The title. So Everlong is, of course, the legendary Color and Shape album classic from the Foo Fighters. And the Foo Fighters have been really important in our relationship. And it's insane, really, that from the start to finish. Like, I remember I wasn't a big Nirvana fan, I will say. I was not a Nirvana fan, which that does shock people, obviously, the Dave Grohl connection. I was not a huge Nirvana fan. I knew a couple of songs, that was pretty much it. But I had this real strong connection with the Color and Shape album. And it was one of those connections where, as AJ was saying earlier, music brings people together. And like the self-titled track, Doll, I know it's only short, but it's really like draws me quite in, like immediately, because I can relate to it, and I can just relate to the way Grohl writes. And you know, for me, that hooked me straight into the Foo Fighters, and I was a fan for many, many years. And then meeting David, and you know, him being a huge fan, and you know, having that connection with music. And you know, we've always, like, when we first started dating, the Foo Fighters were always in the car playing, like always on repeat, every single album, different times. And we've just got so many memories to different like songs by them and different albums and moments in our life. And I think
that was like the common ground for you guys, is that's kind of like the foundation for you, is that taste in music, and a good taste in music too, because David Grohl rocks.
And I want to say that you know, growing up, my parents loved the 70s, so it was like Steve Miller Band and you know, ACD, you know, all that. And so with my boyfriend is the age of my parents, and so because I grew up listening to that type of music, and that's the type of music he likes, it's nice because we can bond on that as well. So there's times where we're sitting in the backyard having some beers, barbecuing, and we're playing that type of music. And so you're right, music really does connect people together, and it's an amazing how it does that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, for us, I feel like you saying, how did I come to the title? It was really inevitable, like, because Dave had never seen them, I'd never seen the Foo Fighters, and on surprise, like, he had no idea. And I've written this in my book, like the whole moment it happened. It was just, I wish I videoed it. It was just such a special moment. And I remember I bought these tickets, and I was hiding it, and I lied to him. That was I lied to him about it. He was like, what's wrong, you know, what's wrong? Because I don't like, when I was so excited and I wanted to burst and tell him, but I kept it, and I kept it and kept it. And then one evening I just couldn't wait any longer, and we were in the car, and I was supposed to wait till his birthday, and I just couldn't. I was just like, I need to tell him now. I have the ticket receipt, you know, on my phone. And like, I told him, and I was like, we're going Reading. And he's like, why are we going Reading?
That's Reading Festival.
Why are we going Reading Festival? Like, why are we going to Reading? Like, you know, he was like, oh, you know, it's changed. It used to be a rock festival, and now it's like all different genres. And he was like really confused why we were going. And I was like, we're going to see the Foo Fighters. They're going to be there. We're going to go and see the Foo Fighters. And his face, like the crying, we were just both like crying. It was just such a moment. I captured it. It's just one of my favorite memories.
I love that.
Yeah, I've been so close to seeing the Foo Fighters on a couple of occasions in the 90s, but never actually got to that. So it was a really lovely surprise.
Hell yeah, that's on my bucket list. I would love to see them. Love to see them.
They were incredible. They were absolutely incredible. It was mind-blowing.
When somebody can fall off the stage, because he fell off the stage and broke his ankle or something, and then get back on stage and still keep performing, that says so much about his musical talent. Yeah. Oh.
So,
yeah, we didn't get anywhere near close because there's 90,000 people there. So it seemed like we were about a mile back.
But I managed to film the whole set. I managed to film everything, and I vlogged the whole day, and it was just so special.
Yeah, luckily they had two big screens, and you know, you could see like close up.
Well, good thing it wasn't COVID time.
Oh yes! Correct. Oh my god!
I would have been mad. No.
Well, we didn't see that coming, did we?
No. I was I don't know if you guys know who Chris Stapleton is. He's like I put him in the country category, but I was supposed to see him this last May for my birthday, and I was so super excited, and AJ was going to be in Bakersfield, which is like 2 hours from us, and I was so excited that got canceled. I had every plan to go on a cruise. I've never been. And it's funny because that's how kind of me and my boyfriend kind of, even though we started talking, our friends were like, hey, you should totally hit up Jessica, and we're talking about going on a cruise and you should go. And so me and him started talking, and he's supposed to be on the cruise with our friend. So him and Matt were going to stay in one room, and then me and Bree was going to stay in one room. And then me and Dave just started talking, and we're like, well, I go, if she gets stupid drunk, I said, I don't want to be in her room. And he's like, well, you can always be in my room. And I'm like, I'm so excited. So that was our whole plan, is to put Matt and Bree in a room and then me and him in a room. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna end up, we're gonna, so that was my plan. But then COVID happened, and
there goes that one.
Yeah.
I was sad. It's a good thing, like, COVID didn't happen while we were on this shit. Then we would have been locked. I mean, that would have been kind of cool.
That happened. That happened to a bunch of people. Yeah. They were like stuck out in sea. That sucks.
They were all quarantined in their rooms, and it was crazy. Yeah. We're looking at another shutdown, just so you guys know. And the possibly president is like, it's going to be a 6 to 8 week shutdown. And I'm like,
how are you guys seeing it over there in the UK? Is it pretty restricted, or?
It's in levels. We've got this level system, so it's like level 1, 2, 3. I think we're in level 2 right now. We've been locked down. How long have we in? I've lost so much count.
Since March, April.
Yeah.
That's us too.
I think. Yeah, and then we're actually in lockdown again now for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
I saw that on the news.
They're on about extending it, and I'm like, oh god, no, like.
Yeah, it's getting to the point now. It's getting pretty boring.
But to be honest, like, I don't want to expose her. I don't want to get a scandal myself.
Yeah,
but there are so many influencers still partying and like just still having house parties, and to me, it's like, you're a role model. Like, you're a public figure, you're a role model. Like, all these influencers, whether you're a YouTuber or Instagram or whatever, you're a role model. People look up to you, and you're still not sticking to guidelines. So they see those not sticking to guidelines, and everybody else just follows, and here we get another spread.
It's so frustrating though, because I like going out.
I bet.
Yeah.
Even if it's to a gig, to a restaurant, we can't even do that now. We can't even sit in cafes now over here. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating because you feel like you're wasting your life. Well, I do.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, our restaurants, they allow them to do patio outside. Now they're opening up on the inside, but it's like at 25% capacity. And a part of me is like, this is kind of nice, because then you get more attention from your waiter or waitress, and there's less people. And
do they expect a bigger tip? I wonder. I haven't gone out. I've been in my home studio all day, every day. So I don't know. Like, I wonder if they expect a bigger tip.
You know what? We tip bigger just because of the fact that, well, one, my boyfriend's a really good tipper. I'm kind of not, because me being in retail, I'm like, no one tipped me. I got paid hourly. Yeah, I know you're a waiter and a waitress. You're getting paid hourly. But I mean, I do tip, but my boyfriend's always been a generous tipper. And so now we tend to tip even more. And we try to get the same waiters or waitresses every time. And it's pretty sad, because we have this restaurant called Pappy's. Delicious. And it's like a Mexican restaurant. And and it's funny because they know us, and it's something we go every week. And I remember we were there not too long ago, and the waitress comes out and looks at my boyfriend, Bloody Mary? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, come here without me. I'm like, what? And then she's like, bottle of champagne. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Because because of it, I tend to drink just a little bit more. And I'm like, oh my God, they know our drinks. But I kind of want to gear this back around to you guys. How long have you been together?
2 years and 3 or 4 months, I think.
Oh wow! And how old were both of you when you guys got together?
I was 51.
Dave always forgets his age, and it's like
I try and forget my age. That's why I don't really like to be reminded. To be quite honest, it's just an age.
Yeah. Right. Well, you're younger. Yeah. You're younger than my boyfriend, but I am older than Laura Marie.
Okay.
I think I was 21.
You were 21.
I was 21. Yeah.
Now, question. I don't want any more kids. My boyfriend is fixed. He has 3 kids. I have 2 kids. We're almost like the Brady Bunch. And I always tell myself, when I'm 35, I'm going to get fixed. And woohoo, happening in 2 weeks. I'm super excited. Anyways, we don't want any more kids. So, David, do you have kids? I don't know if you have kids, Laura Marie. I didn't read any of that. Are you guys wanting kids?
No, we both don't have kids at all. Never have.
No, I think if we were in the situation where we both wanted children, I think, my mum's adopted, so I have this strong pull to adopt a child if I was to go down the children route. But at this moment in time, it's just not, it's not the right time. I don't think we both feel comfortable having a child or want to adopt or anything.
There's affordability as well.
Yeah, we're not.
We can only just support ourselves.
Yeah.
And to have a third person here would just kill me, I think.
Like we really want a cat. Like we both really want a cat and or a little dog, and it's just so difficult because we just can't have that right now. We can't support, we struggle to pay our rent at the end of the month, if we're being really raw and honest. I don't have a job, I'm unemployed, which I've been unemployed for about a year now, and it's been probably the biggest struggle of my life so far, is being unemployed for such a long time.
So with you not working, do you guys tend to hear people say like, oh, she's with him because of, even though you express you guys, kind of struggle, especially with the COVID thing, do you tend to have more people now say, oh, she's really with him because he's taking care of him? Or is it the fact that you guys have almost going on 2.5 years, you don't really get that as much from the people you know?
I don't think it helps because we live in a very rural area in southern England, right near the coast. There's not a lot of work around this area anyway, given the size of Britain. Obviously it's tiny to where you are, but we're quite rural.
We don't have a proper bus service, for example.
They've depleted the bus services around here, so if you wanted to go to a big town, that you could only go in about once a week, you know what I mean? So if you don't have a car in these rural areas, you're pretty really, so luckily I've got a car. I have to travel to work 24 miles every day and back, so I had to have a car. That's the extent of the employment around here. It's just the way it is.
Is 24 miles like a long ways, like for you guys to go for work?
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, but I think that's becoming the norm.
Yeah. So for us, like in the Fresno area, we can get anywhere in Fresno within 15 to 20 minutes. And for us, it's like not that bad. And oh my God, I'm glad I don't live in LA, because that's like a blink of an eye. You're stuck in traffic for an hour, hour and a half. So you're looking at 3 hours commute, even if you live 5 miles away. Yeah. And I'm like, can't do that.
It's a relative about 24 to 30 miles to the nearest biggest town, all the way around, north, east, south, west. If we want to go anywhere, say Bath or Bristol, then that's like an hour's drive. That's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah, so that's that. There's no jobs around here. She's tried, but they seem to hang on to the same people. And jobs don't really come up that often, like locally.
That's gotta be
in
really
your town, is it your town? Because you said you live rurally. Is there like a little like a neighborhood store that you go to where the locals?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And do you guys know each other? Do you know like the families around there? And do people know each other, or is it like I don't know?
Well, obviously Laura hasn't lived. Well, she's lived with me for about 1.5 years now.
Oh.
So she doesn't know very many people anyway. But yeah, we do see. Like you go into the chip shop here. We got brilliant.
Oh, they're so
fish and chip shops
lovely.
And they know us, you know, and the Chinese people are lovely, you know, they're big respect to them, you know, and
that's good.
we have that nice hello, how are you, you know. So we know people visually to say hello to. We don't know them, you know, deeply personally. But I've lived in this area nearly all my life, so I know a lot of people. But then again, I don't know a lot of people because loads of new people come in and people go, you know. So yeah, there are a lot of people that I know, definitely around here. But like if I've grown up with them all my life, so I know all about a lot of people, a lot of my friends, you know.
Are they accepting of the relationship, of the age gap?
A majority of them, yes, but
No.
a small minority of them, no.
And they're your friends, the people that you do.
They were my friends.
Oh, they were. Yeah.
And that's the hard part, because when it's your friends and they know you and they know how you are, but then they don't accept you, that's where
it's harder when you know the person for about 40 years and then they turn because you started going out with like someone half your age.
Sheesh.
That you didn't know about, you know, you didn't know about if they felt that way, you know. Whether it's jealousy, I don't know, you know, but yeah, it's quite crippling, and it does make you think like, well, are my friends like really my friends, you know, because they don't, some people don't express what they really feel.
What is so wrong that they disagree with so strongly that would tear a lifelong friendship? What is their problem that they cannot get past?
But I think there's a bit of narcissism going on, you know. I don't know. I mean, in my case, it was quite personal to do with the band, you know, because I've been in a band since the 80s. And
I knew it. I was going to call that out. You have a good taste in music.
Thank you, AJ.
It looks great.
Seducing. When you said when Laura Marie said she was seduced, I'm like, this guy must be a musician.
Well,
he knows
well,
the way
not seduced in the physical way.
Yeah.
I hasten to add that I didn't seduce her in a physical way, because the first time I saw her was when I sent an invite to one of our gigs about 3 years ago, and she was going out with someone, and I sent them both an invite to come to the gig, and it all sort of rolled from there, and then we got talking, and you know, she only had one photo on her Facebook account, which she has no more because it got hacked, but that's another story. But I didn't see her. I could only see one photo of her, right? And we got talking, and I really loved the way that she spoke. It you know, written words and poetic sort of roll to it, you know, and I was quite impressed with the way that she answered me back, right? And I had no idea of her age. It didn't even come into my mind, and I don't think it came into hers. But the way that we connected through Messenger, you know, it's like, oh wow, that's, you know, she writes lovely. You know what I mean? You know, I didn't seduce her, no way. You know, that's a wrong. I think that's a wrong term. But I think you have to change that.
No, leave that. That was great.
In my point of view, like you saying that's wrong term, it's like I didn't see it again from a physical seducing point of view. It was more like I used to be a music agent and a promoter and everything. I used to put on gigs like David's band, and for me, hearing his band and his lyrical content, it was something so different, and nobody else was writing anything like that. Nobody was being raw like that, and that's what like did it for me, was how he wrote music. Because anybody, like, I shouldn't say anybody, but most people can write a song, right? But it's having the meaning and the stamina behind it to make it sound powerful and like you're trying to express yourself through lyrics. And he was doing that, and that's what did it for me immediately, straight off the bat, was, wow, this guy's incredibly talented. I need to talk to this guy.
Okay,
So,
Was Laura Marie the Yoko of the group, and you kind of broke up the band?
That is so funny. Can I just? That is so funny.
You're
that's
gonna
been
love
said.
this, AJ.
So, okay, if I don't, I'm not gonna go all
To
the
cut a long
story
story
because
short.
there's a lot. But basically, all three other members of this band, never met me. I don't know who they are. Okay, I don't have anything to do. I barely know their names. Right, that's it. I couldn't even tell you the color of his drum kit. Let's be honest. Like it's really that. And basically, all three of them, they hate me, and they've never met me, and they really, really hate me. And the bassist really, really, really hates me. Like really hates me. And he started calling me Yoko Ono.
What in the world?
Yeah, he started calling me Yoko Ono. That became my name. And he did everything, talked about me behind my back.
This Yoko Ono comment that he made on Messenger while I was still in the band caused me to get upset, and that was the role of a three-pronged attack on Messenger from all of them three.
Jeez.
To me.
Wow.
And
I didn't know how close to home I hit with that name, but yeah, that's really, that is.
Yeah, it got quite messy after that.
Wow.
And I refused to talk to them basically because they wouldn't apologize for that comment that he made, comparing her to Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at first, but then I did get it. And yeah, that's
he never met me. They
snowball effect.
Wow.
That's awful.
It's just crazy.
At least let me give you a reason to not like me. I don't understand how you're not going to like me just out of nowhere.
Well, my thoughts are that he had a plan that he wanted me out of the band anyway, so he could take front stage.
There you go. Yeah.
That's awful.
That makes sense.
Now, speaking of people that didn't really accept, you had talked about in your book Harmony. And I'm not sure, it made it sound like she was your hairdresser or a friend, you know, and so she definitely was just shocked, and she's like, wait, how old is he? And that's something that you had said in your book. And then she'd even said, I don't get it, he's as old as my dad. Why on earth would you want to date someone much older? But you guys met, you guys had a connection, and you were happy. And it's funny because it's like, as you guys talk, it's like, Laura Mary, when you're like, oh, well, you know, I did band promotions and stuff, like, that's what I did. Like, your age, I did that stuff too. And I booked bands and bars and everything.
DJ promoters.
Yeah,
exactly.
I knew I was connected with Rae, and I think that's why. I get it now.
Right. And so with that being said, like with her, has she eventually came around, or is she someone you have already cut off? Did you personally cut off a lot of friends?
As far as, okay, so my friend Lucy that I also mentioned in my book, she took it really, really well. And I saw Lucy and Harmony in the exact same day. And I remember going to have my nails done, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. She also knew how bad my last relationship was, how toxic it was for me. Yeah. How low this guy made me feel, and then to come out and meet Dave and be really happy. And she was just up in the air. She was so happy for me. Mm-hmm. And then going and seeing Harmony has always been in my heart, is like a really special person to me. Mm-hmm. She's always been like there for me. I've vented a lot of stuff to her. She's seen me upset. She's seen me at like all my different states in my life. And so when I went in that day and I told her about Dave, she was concerned straight away, but not so much. Yeah, she said the age gap, but later on, because I took Dave in to meet her, what was it, last year? I took Dave in the hairdressers. He popped in to give me my lunch. I have a keratin treatment. It takes all day. It's like, oh God, you know, you got to be in there the hours. So Dave took my lunch into me, and Harmony just looked at you, didn't she? And she said something to me. She's like, no, and she was really sorry, really, really sorry about it. And she felt so guilty, and just seeing them, because they started talking straight away. I can't even remember. You spoke about so much stuff with her, and they just bonded instantly. And then as soon as Dave left, she was so upset. She was just like horrified that judge so quickly.
So that's
And
quite a success story, really.
Yeah, she just said, like, I was scared for you in the sense of I didn't want you to get hurt again. Like, you mean a lot to me. And that was how it was.
And in chapter 13, I'm going to just say a few little things that I highlighted, and then we could touch on it. You know, someone had said she hardly knew me, but she felt that she had the right to pass judgment. Assumed he was a pedophile. He was grooming me for his own sick pleasure. And then once again, I'm jumping around. I was known as, and this would be you saying, I was known as a user to everyone, it seemed. Rumors spread around quickly. Or she's a sugar baby, only in it for money. Disgusting. And then you had said, I had never in my life felt so small. And the lies, the comments, it left scarred. And you said, I was so lost and lonely. And because of all that and how people, you know, made you feel, you had talked about how it put you in a depression. And you know, as far as I know, no one has said anything about my David being a pedophile or grooming. And I think that's where it differs, because you were 21 and you were younger. And so that's where I think a lot of people look at that and it's like, oh my gosh, this is not okay. This is not okay. And that's why they're probably saying, oh, he's a pedophile. He's grooming her. You know, and that's sad and sickening, because you're an adult. You were 21. You knew. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't older men that groom and are, you know, that's definitely something that happens. And, you know, a part of you's thinking, how dare you? How dare you insinuate that? But then, you know, is there a part of you that's like, okay, they really cared for me and they were wondering what was going on? Still not okay for them to say that kind of stuff.
Not at all. The people that were saying those things, you know, they don't know me. Like I said, they don't know me. My hometown of Tor Point is very small. It's like about just a little tiny bit bigger than where we are now. And news like that will travel around in a heartbeat, especially in like charity shops and hairdressers. People talk a lot about people, especially charity shops. People talk a lot. And for me, you know, I even talk about later on that people had reached out to me on Facebook and Instagram and were texting me on my old phone that I don't have anymore. People that I went to school with that bullied me throughout my whole school and then reached out to me again and called me like a gold digger, you're a sugar baby, you're this, that, and the other. And, you know, for me at that time, I just come out, like I said, I came out of a really toxic, manipulative relationship. So I had that. I'd lost family, a lot of family as well. I lost my stepbrother, which broke my heart. And then came out of that, had my auntie with dementia. My mum had cancer. My dad had like heart strokes and stuff.
Good.
So I had all of that. And then I had these people attacking me, saying, you're a gold digger, you're a hoe, you're this, you're that, you're everything. And, you know, part of me is like, it did affect me. It put me into a state. I think it would put anybody over the edge. Like, you've gone through that in not even a year. It's been like 6 months and you've gone through, everybody's attacking you.
And that's one thing in chapter 14 you started talking about, and I'll read quick little things. It says, as I continue to embrace each other against the wind, staring was all people did these days. They glaze would fix upon us. Their judgment behavior I knew was something we had to get used to. Small-minded people, even tapping their partners, moments to lock their stare on us. And I don't get that as much, because I mean, not to be all, but people think I'm younger than what I am. But we don't really, because I think in our culture, in our city, it is a little bit more susceptible, and there's so many different things that go on here. But that puts you in a depression, where you even talked about it in chapter 20, and you said, I didn't want to prove them right, that I didn't belong here. Who would want to feel like this? Depression was unseen, unheard, silent killer. You can't escape it no matter how hard you try, because it follows you around like a black shadow on the inside, eating you. And I get some of that, because in other podcasts that I have explained, like, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have to be on medication. And what I have learned, when you kept talking, all vision stares, the pointing in the street, the abusive message, death threats, and comment, it was like death from 1,000 paper cuts. And, you know, and then you're saying, you know, opening my eyes to the softening sun, and I gaze into the cloud as David stood over me in his work clothes, baby, what's wrong? Are you okay? Because in that chapter, you were talking about how sad and depressed you were. And I got the feeling that you weren't sure if you needed to be in that relationship because how people are towards you. And I could be wrong on that one, you know, and you're talking about just the anxiety you were having. And then, you know, skipping around, it says, David held me still before lowering me to sit. Then I was facing David, my fingers white knuckle, holding on to his sweater, asking him if I'm going to be okay. Is everything going to be okay? And David goes, everything's okay, I promise. And you guys reached out and that got the help. And the way, you know, like I said, I deal with all that, and I'm a talker, and my David's not a very big talker. And sometimes he's like, dude, you just talk a lot. And I said, yes. But one thing I related is it shows that you guys relied on each other, that you're probably like, screw it, I don't care what people think. We love each other, and we're going to continue with this. And even in my relationship with my Dave, he's my person. He's the one that I talk to, and he's the one that I vent to, and he's the one that I've cried to. And you know, and he's held me, and you know, it's just something that when you realize that you can connect with each other, even in like your hardest times, that you realize that's when you love someone the most. You know, you knew you loved them, but when they're there for you during your darkest times, you realize that is my person. That is a person I love. And that's my thing. Like, I look at my boyfriend, I'm like, that's my boyfriend. That's the person I love. You know, there was only one time that we almost, there's only one time that we almost broke up. And it was because he even thought, you know, what is it going to be like when I'm 80? You know, you're not going to love. And I'm like, dude, love is love. It doesn't matter. If I love you, love is love. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if, you know, you're bedridden or whatever. I mean, heaven forbid, but it doesn't matter because you love that person. My step grandma, my dad's stepmom, she's the same age as my dad. And she's married to my grandpa, you know, and I had reached out to her and I was like, hey, you know, I know you love grandpa, but what are the pros and cons, you know? And you know, she broke it down and she talked to me and she's told me, you know, Jessica, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard because your grandfather traveled the world and did this, do that. And now he's like, I just want to be home. She's like, I want to go do stuff. You know, and so she'll take off to her families for a month that's in another state. And my grandpa doesn't care. And in fact, I talked to him the other day and I said something about my boyfriend. He goes, oh, I heard you're in a older relationship like me and your grandma, you know, and I never had I forgot that they were in that such a big age gap until it just dawned on me. And I reached out to her and I talked to her because I wanted to know her point of view. And so when I'm reading this about your depression and how people treated you, and it's just ugly, but that connected you too on a different level. And I think that was the point where you guys are probably like, oh my God. And I knew you guys probably loved each other. But am I right or wrong? Did that like was the ultimate connection for you guys?
Do you want to go for that?
Yeah.
I'm getting quite like, because it's being read back and I'm like, oh, I wrote that. Did you want to? I think as far as, you know, I from right at the beginning, like when I knew something was wrong when I got scared of leaving the house, and I wouldn't leave the house without Dave. And then it got to the point where I couldn't get dressed some mornings, or I couldn't eat. And I've had 2 eating disorders already, and I almost was scared of going into another one. And then it was like I wasn't eating properly, I wasn't getting dressed, and then it was like sleeping was a massive problem. And I would get up loads and have to do something, and you know, and then panic attacks. I had my first one, and it was like I thought I was weird, you know. If I'm being honest, I thought something was seriously wrong with me. I thought I was weird. Nobody spoke about mental health when like I was going through it, and there was no resources out there. You know, I knew about Better Health, which I believe is a states thing, but for us over here in the UK, like nobody was talking about mental health. No, there was no resources, and I was going through this like on my own, and I didn't know how to like talk about it because I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was having all these like freakouts. I would black out sometimes. I would just have a complete blackout, and it, like, I don't drink or anything, but I would just black out and I would just disassociate, like, completely, like, from myself. And it just go into different mindsets. And then it would be like, I thought about suicide.
Brought on by the people, by the stairs? Was it intensified by other people about the relationship, or was this already like an ongoing thing?
I think for me, like, when I did my therapy with WYSA, which I have shouted out so much in my book, that charity I owe my whole life to. They saved my life on, like, several occasions when Dave wasn't here, and my life coaches were absolutely incredible. And, you know, my therapy, from music therapy to yoga I did, was absolutely incredible. And, you know, thank you to every single one of them if you're watching. But I think for me, like, brought on by grief, because I didn't deal with the loss of my stepbrother very well. I didn't deal with my auntie getting dementia very well. I didn't deal with my mum's cancer very well, because she had it twice. Like, she was literally clean, and then she got it again. And then the second time, it was like, it was really dragged out, and I honestly thought I was going to lose my mom. So
that's a lot.
It's like,
yeah, that's a lot. Heavy.
Yeah, and you know, the mental health system, they're always about mental health. If you have this, if you have that, reach out, mental health. And but when you try to get that help, like I've said in past podcasts, I fought for a year and a half for myself to get the help that I need. And unfortunately, our system is broken, you know, and it's sad. It is so sad and heartbreaking.
They don't recognize mental issues over here at all. No, they don't see it as an illness.
Yeah.
This government has closed all the doors. No benefits, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember, like, when we went through the process, because, like, Dave had to take me to the doctors first. So, like, I wrote about that in the book. I went to the doctors, and our doctor is absolutely amazing. He's, like, the greatest. He really, really is great. And he looked after me. Like, I walked in and he knew what I had and was like, okay, well, here's a box of these tablets, okay? I'll show you what they are. And he took them out and showed me, and he was like, now you can take them. If you don't want to, let's talk about something natural, okay? And for me, like, I don't like tablets. I'm not a believer of medication. I believe it can help some people, like Rae. It's probably helping you great, and that's amazing. But for me, I didn't want to go down the medication route. I wanted to be natural. And so he was like, okay, well, you can have counseling and you can do these other programs. And he initially put me on this other program. It wasn't with WISA. It was just an independent one with, I do believe, Salisbury Hospital, our local, Salisbury Hospital. And so I went away and was waiting for a callback. And then I didn't end up doing that one because, again, the power of YouTube, the power of, like, these influencers. I came across, again, she's become my friend, believe it or not, Julia Zelg, who's also in an age gap relationship, her and Eileen. And she was promoting one day better health. And I was like, okay, I need to click on that. And I clicked on that. And that was a paid service. And at the time, obviously, I'm out of work. I couldn't have a paid service. It was like £34 a session, I do believe. I don't know what that is, US. But it was expensive for me. So, like, here it was like, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? And I remember I was just Google searching, like you probably have, like, help, free help. I need it. Like, I need to do this program. I knew that I'd have to go on a waiting list for the Salisbury one, and I wanted to get better now. I wanted to get better quick. And so I stumbled across WYSA. I do believe it was on YouTube, and they were doing these live streams. And it was like all these people, like I think about 20 people at a time were in this live stream, and they were sharing their story and, panic attacks, talking about it, anxiety, talking about it, sleep deprivation, DID, loads of different types of, like, mental health problems that you have. I shouldn't call them problems, but mental health in general. And I remember joining, and I just listened one day. I just was there and I was listening, and, you know, I took the time to, I was listening to the vocal coach leader, and I was like, I need that. I'm relating to this. I need that. So I went on, I downloaded the app, which is completely free. You can get that from the App Store. It's completely free. and they signed me up day one. It was all free. I completed a 6-month program, and then my doctor decided that I needed to do it for the full year. So I continued the program. I did, like I say, music therapy. I did yoga. I did like brain exercises. I got this coach wake me up in the morning. So I'd get up at like, I think 9, 10, and then slowly get it earlier. So I got in a routine, and then it would be like, okay, first 5 positive things that have happened in the morning versus 5 negative things. Are these negative things you can change, worry about, all that sort of stuff. And there was a lot in the program. And, you know, in the early days of me doing it, I thought, oh, this is so stupid. I feel so weird. And that was genuinely how I felt. I felt a bit outcasted. I didn't know anybody else either that was doing the program that was my age. So that somewhat, you know, I thought, oh, is this the right thing to do? And then the more sessions I did and the more time I spent with my coach, it helped me. And then like I'm fine now. But at the time it was like so necessary for me to complete the whole thing. And I felt re-energized after every session. So, you know, WYSA is an incredible charity. It's all run on donations. They're not government funded. So they're definitely worth checking out. Yeah.
Was there ever a thought in your process when getting help, because it sounds like you were in the relationship you're in now during your discovery of, hey, something's got to change. Was there ever a thought of being scared to change, because then what if I lose David? What if they change my mind and I no longer want to be in the relationship that I want to be in?
No, I never got like that at all. I never had that thought for a second. I knew I had to change. I knew that I was ill anyway before I got in this relationship with Dave. Like when I was with my ex, I knew something was wrong. And like I again, because of grieving and because it upsets me a little bit that I don't have a close relationship with my dad. And that doesn't help either, because I feel like it's just been me and my mum. They're not divorced or anything, they're together, but I just don't talk to my dad. He doesn't really know me. And so that's a struggle.
And I read that in one spot where you would mention that your mom, sorry, or mom, as we say, but your mom did care about you. But however, your dad found out, and he kind of just joked about it. And you had said that's kind of like his way of dealing with it, I guess. But a question that I had, and once again, I want to kind of read real quick. You said, I faced my fears, clearing out my phone, deleting all the negativity and expression and the criticism and those scars, and that David was more supportive. Your mom was there. Your dad would joke about it. Did you feel that, and you also said in chapter 20, releasing all my pain as healing energy, hope, and peace becoming the new rhythm of my heart and breath. Do you feel that by deleting all of those negative comments and stuff like that from your phone, that was actually helpful for you, that helped you move on?
Oh, absolutely. You know, some things you've got to delete and get rid of. And, you know, like I say, a lot of friends, like when I got in this relationship anyway, when I left my ex, I lost a lot of friends. And then the remaining friends I had left me because they didn't agree with my relationship. So it left me with just Lucy and Harmony. And to be quite honest with you, those 2 girls are worth millions of all the others, and they're the greatest of friends, and I know they'll always be there for me. So I knew that deleting all that would still remain me those 2 friends.
Yeah, there's too much negativity in this world, really.
Very.
And you need to sometimes throw out stuff that you don't want. So throw out the negativity.
Yeah, and you had talked about, you know, in here as well, you said setting up your very own Instagram profile, which we will put your Instagram link in there. You said that you followed like certain people and uploading your stuff and the hashtag and love is love, and you'd even like done like the age gap relationship on your Instagram hashtags, which is how I actually seen you guys. And you following people and then the relationship, it got your confidence back. You said my heart no longer struggles to the beat of my through the anxiety, and I was strong and felt beautiful again. And I get that, because even my boyfriend has started following another couple on, or he would watch their videos on YouTube just to kind of get a little bit of an insight. You know, Mindy and Larry, I mentioned earlier, like they were the first people that I followed, and I'm sure you know Mindy and Larry, and they're awesome, and I love seeing them. I love seeing just how happy they are, and so many people want to sit there and judge us for no reason when they don't really know the insight. And so following it and seeing other people that had to kind of like help you out and make you feel better as you express. And I totally get that, and I totally feel that because I did the same thing, and it's like, okay, now, because we do need to wrap this up in soon. So now I will say, now when me and my boyfriend go out to eat and we see somebody, we're like, so do you think that's a boyfriend and girlfriend? Do you think that's a mother son, or
We've had that.
and we'll create our own little story, and I'm not gonna lie, there's been a few times where I've kind of judged people myself in an age gap difference, even though I'm in that, and I'm not like looking at them, or and I might see somebody like, why is she with him, or why is he with her? They don't look like they go together, and then even though I've said that, I know that it's more than just looks, it's more than just age, it's attraction, it's love, it's something that you actually find deep down inside. And I liked my boyfriend for the longest time, and then the first time I met him, he had been drinking, and I was like, this dude is like beyond like goofy, I just don't know. And so I backed off of messaging him, and then we started messaging again, and then I was kind of seeing somebody, a little bit, and things just kind of whatever. And I remember him being in my neighbor Bree's backyard with me, and she's blasting her music, talking to somebody else, and then me and him are like, can we turn that music down, we're trying to talk. And then we're in the corner like huddled up talking, and that's just kind of then how. And then I'm like, oh my god, I like this guy. And even though I liked him for so long, and I tried to drop him because I wasn't going to ask him out, I tried to drop the hints, and he just never asked me out. And when we started to actually date, I remember I was supposed to go out it was the first Saturday of the year this year, and I was supposed to go out with somebody, and it just didn't happen. So I was like, hey, you want to go out? And so we had went out, and we started drinking, and where I was like, let's go back to your place. And I was always worried. He knows this. I was always worried because I liked him. We were to have sex, that it may not be good, and it was, but
Hey.
and woo,
Yeah.
and yay me, and
Yay him.
So the first time we had sex, we're like, oh my god, he's not going nowhere. But I had two other guys that I went out with, never did anything with them, and I had dates set up to go with them, and I left a date to go hang out with him, and so I had these dates lined up, and I really didn't want to go because I liked him. And I remember mid-January him saying, hey, I know you got a lot of things going on, but when you're ready, I'll be here. And at that moment, I'm like, oh my god, this guy is awesome, like awesome, yes, and I'm not big on ghosting. I prefer to be told right away, or I prefer, to kind of whatever. But I totally ghosted these two guys. I had dates with them, I ghosted them. One guy just was persistent. I'm worried about you, what are you doing, da 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 da. And he was a nice guy, but I liked Dave so much that I just didn't want to go out. And I remember January 22nd, we're all sitting in my back patio, and I was making tamales and stuff, and I'm out there, we're kind of drinking, and I looked at him, I said, he had told me I had a bunch of loose strings, and when I tied them up, that's where it'd be there. So I leaned over and I said, I just want to let you know, all my loose strings are tied up. We're now in a relationship.
Classic.
I told him, and for a while we didn't put it on Facebook or anything like that, and I didn't tag him, or if we were friends, we'd tag each other, and he's just like, well, I'm just kind of, he goes, I'm not going to push you. I'm just waiting for you whenever when you want to. And it's like, okay. So I started tagging, and then I put us in a relationship. And I think that was the aha moment of him and for him. And that's how our little story was. And I love this dude so much. Even my therapist goes, I hear you talk about every single boyfriend you've had, that they're all shits. It's been a toxic relationship. She goes, but you've always talked highly of him. And I'm like, yeah. She was like, it's a happy relationship. It's a healthy relationship. I said, yes. Have I led boyfriends in the past? Of course. But this is the first time that I can say I've truly, truly been in love with somebody. And like I said, I jokingly tell him, if he tries to leave me, I'm going to kill him. But, and there's been a few times where, I thought we were going to like break up, and, in the text message, I read it wrong. I'm like, oh, hell no. And I'll show up to his house and be like, what the fuck was that? And he's like, what?
Block the door.
Right. And I gotta say, even though it's been 9.5 months, we've only had one real fight. And I think that's amazing. I'm like, woo, that's amazing. Because every relationship I've been in, they've all been shitty. And I've always fought from the beginning. And then I didn't want to look stupid being with somebody and then us breaking up, So, but AJ, is there anything that you want to ask them before we wrap it up?
Is that a reflection? Well, it's more of a question for both of you guys.
Okay.
Is that more of a reflection, being in a happy relationship with you and your Dave, and in the UK with Laura Marie and her Dave? Yeah. A reflection on the boyfriend being so much older, or is that just a reflection on your individual relationship?
That's a good question.
That's a very good
question. That is a good question. I look at Dave, and I don't look at him being older than me. So in that question, we're just in a relationship. We love each other. We don't care. I don't know. I think it's just us. I think it's just, we're just happy.
It's not like you're like, you've got a mindset where I am not going to go out with people my age. I'm only going to go out with, and you have this requirement within yourself.
My ex was me, and it was awful. It was really bad. I was with him for 3 years, and it was just not healthy. It was really bad. It was everything. The way I looked, he changed. Everything about me wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough, and I had to change to be with him, to fit in with his friends. I had to become someone I'm not. That was him. And then I dated somebody that was older than me. I was 17 and he was 32.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off. I was 17 and dated a 32-year-old. I know this doesn't sound right, but I lost my virginity to him. But my whole thing was, he was someone I knew for a while. But I don't see it as his fault. I don't see it as him grooming me or being I was very mature at 17, and I was almost 18. And I pushed it with him, and I pushed it with him. I was like, no, I and so I don't look at that as like, I knew what I was doing. And oh my God, we're so much alike. But that's
crazy.
I think we need to take a trip to London or UK. And that's just one thing I just have to appreciate with my boyfriend, is because we both were going out and drinking a lot, but now that we're together, we're like, we don't want to go out. We don't want to go out. We'd rather be home. And that's why my Friendsgiving is at my home, because we don't want to go out. We like, and our Friendsgiving was supposed to be later in the evening, and we're just like, God, no, you know what? Let's start it early so we can go to bed at a decent time, And I'm like, woo. And so, that's just, I absolutely love you guys. I think that we definitely have a lot of things in common. I could totally see us just being like little friends, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love talking to you guys. I totally can relate to you guys. I just wish, Laura Marie, that we had the same names, and then I think that would have been awesome. I know, right? And then I'd be like, woo, we're doppelgangers. No, and so I really appreciate you guys coming on the show, talking about your experience, expressing certain things. I absolutely love that, and I just thank you guys so very much for that. I do want a copy of your book signed.
I can do that. I'll do that for you. I'll send you a copy.
And I appreciate
invite us back on again.
Yes, we would love that.
Invite us back on again so we can chat
Yeah.
some more.
Oh yeah. Totally. I
Go
just
down
totally
some other
agree.
avenues.
Yes. And that's the whole thing is like there's so much more that we can go on and on and on and on, but we are like way over. But you know, that tends to be me and AJ. We always go over.
This is good stuff, though. And I think so many people can relate to this on a whole bunch of different levels with the navigating through depression and strengthening your relationships between you two. I think there's so much that everybody can benefit from. And thank you again.
Oh,
Yes.
thank
too
you
for-
both. You're both very lovely people.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking to you both.
Yes. So thank you again. We will definitely be putting your Instagram stuff in. And like I said, we are definitely going to have to do this again. I absolutely love you guys. You guys are adorable.
Aww.
And I love it. So I'm glad. Thank you for, even though
Oh,
I posted looking for age gap, I thank you guys for reaching out to us. And I really appreciate it. And I just can't wait to re-listen and re-watch this. It's going to be really fun and neat. So once again, thank you guys.
Oh, bless
thank
you
you
both.
too. Thank you. We really appreciate your time and everything. So thank you. Yeah.
And with that, I love it. And with that, I am Rae, and this is AJ, and this is Random Thoughts with Rae. Until next time, everybody.